Well, thank you. All right. Welcome, Douglas County. My name is Kelly Robinson, Commissioner of the 2nd District and Chair of this Transportation Committee of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Today is January 18th, which is a Wednesday of 2023. Just as a disclaimer, our meetings are normally on the third Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. But because of the holiday this week, we shifted everything. But we will revert back to our normal time next month, being the third Tuesday at 2 p.m. All right, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So we've got a roll call. We're going to do a roll call. Again, because this is virtual, we must acknowledge by verbal, just because some people can't tell who's who. So we'll do it individually. I'll start with myself in doing the roll call. Kelly Robinson, present.
Mona Jackson Jones, present.
Frederick Perry, present.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley, present.
Ronald Roberts, present.
Keith Cowart, present.
Suleiman Rana, present.
All right, sounds like we've got a full house, not even just a quorum. We got everybody here on the committee. Is any of our supporting members here that they're not voting members, but they're supporting members of the committee? Is Mr. David Good here?
I'm here, Commissioner.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would be normally part of this supporting cast here? I want to acknowledge staff. If not, that's good. We'll go with that as is. All right, Deputy Director, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. The first thing should be our meeting minutes, and then we'll get into the formal agenda accordingly.
Yes, sir. The first item is to approve meeting minutes of December 13, 2022 Transportation Committee meetings.
All right, since those things typically codify our recommendations to the full board, can I get a motion to accept the meeting minutes of December 13th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All right, let's go around the room again for the record because it's virtual. Kelly Robinson, yes.
Mona Jackson Jones, yes.
Frederick Perry,
Yes. Sorry.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley, yes.
Ron Roberts.
Suleiman Rana, yes.
5 and 6. Heath?
Yes, sir.
All right, is that a yes though?
Yes, sir. It's a yes.
All right, thank you. All right, we got the
Final
unanimous
answer.
passes and adoption of meeting minutes of December 13, 2022. All right, check. Deputy Director, take us forward, please, sir.
The first item on the agenda is transit updates. We have a transit master plan update with Director Ron, and then we also got a request from the collaborative firm to present their updates for Connect Douglas public engagement. So I'll hand it over to Ron Roberts for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, you have the floor. I know you have some guests here.
I do have some guests, some very special guests. We have Steve Cote and Rachel Hatcher from both from RSNH. They have sent over the transit master plan project management plan, which I had sent around to a few of you. I know Commissioner Robinson got it because he responded back. I know Suleiman got it. I've reviewed the document. I sent it over to Dr. Gilchrist and some other personnel. This has been a long time coming for us, so I'm very excited about it. Very excited to get this project started. I've asked Rachel and Steve to be here today to, I know Commissioner, you like these introductions and have them kind of walk through what they have provided us in the project management plan and what we would now be sending back to ATL staff to actually get started with kickoffs and the process going from here forward. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Rachel.
With that said, thank you, Director Robertson. So as you talk about who you guys are, can you also just frame what this assignment is for the public? Because everybody doesn't follow us all the time and read our meeting minutes before you get into the actual details. Can you frame that for us, please? As you get going, you guys have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ron, would you like for me to provide an overview, or do you want to take that piece of it?
No, you're fine doing that. You're so much more eloquent than I am.
Oh, thank you. I'll do my best. Well, thank you all for the opportunity to come and speak with you today. We are also very excited to get this project started. For the benefit of the group, the Transit Master plan is a technical assessment as well as a public and stakeholder intensive process that's going to look at the current operations of Connect Douglas, as well as unmet demand, needs of the region, as well as the members of the community and the traveling public, and identify investments for the future as well as corrections for the current service that will best meet the transportation needs. So there are going to be various opportunities for the community and stakeholders to provide feedback about what their vision for transit is. And then our technical team, made up of a consultant group of 4 different firms in various capacities, will digest that information, perform extensive technical analysis, and provide financial plans and implementation plans to help you all realize that vision moving forward into the future. The goal is to have this study completed in time for you to include some of the low-hanging fruit and easy to implement recommendations prior to your next grant cycle. So our objective is to complete the study prior to October of 2023. So we're in the initial stages of project setup. We have our contracting efforts in full swing. So the sub-consultant firms are going to be under contract by the end of January. We've started data collection. We've circulated the management documents so that we all know who is doing what and what the key deliverables and milestones will be for this study. So you all have a copy of that. The table of contents is really a great place to start because it does include everything that's in that project management plan. So you would include a scope and project objective, which we've given you a high-level summary of. We also have included in that document deliverables, so you can see the specific tangible outcomes of this study. A lot of things that you do in a study are not necessarily tangible, but that's an easy place to see what you'll have as a production product at the end of the study. A project schedule that is somewhat high level. As part of our next steps, we'll be developing month and milestone schedules where you'll get to see when meetings are occurring, including public and stakeholder engagement, technical committee meetings, and internal meetings where we're going to talk about status, talk about next steps, and make sure that we're keeping the project on schedule. Project library and software, there's going to be a significant amount of data collection that occurs in the initial stages of the study. So making sure that that's all documented, making sure that it's understood what the data resources are going to be used for and how they'll be utilized. And then any modifications made will be a product that's turned back over to Douglas County, so that at the end of the study, you don't just get static report images, but you also get usable information and data, so that moving forward, you have those resources in-house. Design criteria and standards. Typically, design criteria is looking at things like bus stop improvement programs, as well as route design modifications. So schedules, time points, capital resources needed. Those project roles and responsibilities. So I am the project manager for the prime consulting firm. Steve is my deputy PM. So we work closely as a team to make sure there's that redundancy. If I'm unavailable, Steve is always available. If he's unavailable, I'm available. So you'll always have access to folks that know what's going on, know where everything is. And then we also have our PMs on your side of the house and our PMs for our sub-consultants. So you've got a great team of folks that work very closely together and have worked on projects like this, so there's no learning curve for that team. And then project change management. So we know best laid plans are an opportunity for change. So there is a structure in place for when we know we need to pivot. If something, say a global pandemic, hits in the middle of a study, we've all learned how to be a little bit more flexible in the last several years. So there is a framework in this project management plan for what happens when an unforeseeable challenge occurs and how we'll pivot. And then that quality control process, which is of utmost importance to make sure by the time you all see a product, it has been fully vetted to ensure accuracy and to ensure that it's consistent with the things we've heard from the public and our stakeholders. So the project management plan really is that skeleton, and we'll be working aggressively over the next several weeks to fill the meat into those bones and make sure that you have a great update at your next meeting to show progress. Steve, if there's anything I missed, or Ron, please let me know, but that's a good overview of where we are, and we're excited to get rolling.
That was excellent. I mean, project management 101. Just let that out. I'm sitting over here like, look at this. So I'm confident you guys got this. You got the triple constraints. You got everything. You got this. So again, I'm glad you guys got the contract, and we look forward to what comes out of this. One question though, in talking about this as far as outcomes, I get the routes and things like that. You're looking at the data, will it deal with our operator? Like, because part of this is that, right? It's the route, but then how does the operator fit into this as far as the one who's actually operating our current transit? Is that a factor in this at all? We look at data from that as input or?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So there's several different ways that your current operator will fit within the structure of this study. We'll be looking at how they're operating. We'll be looking at their performance metrics. So things like on-time performance, satisfaction levels of customers through surveys that we'll conduct, as well as any complaints that have been issued to make sure that we're identifying any consistent issues that, there's always going to be a one-off issue that occurs with anyone who's providing service. But if we're seeing a consistent trend, then that's something that we'll bring to your attention to address operationally. If there's something that's happening service-wise that needs to be adjusted, meaning their on-time performance is an issue because the way that the route is designed, they cannot meet that metric, then those are some recommendations we'll make in another avenue to say, well, this route schedule needs to be relaxed or rerouted. So we'll be looking at how they're performing, how they're operating. We also might have recommendations on service model changes. That's really all up to you all, what the goals and objectives of transit in your community is going to look like, and what your appetite is for change. So if that is the case and your current operator is unable or unwilling to adjust to that service model that is selected, then that would give you the opportunity to move forward in a different direction in the future.
No, I appreciate that. That was sufficient. So what I did hear you say, now again, I'll release it back to you to go continue on, is that we've got 4 routes. You can deviate or, within 1 mile, the flex component of it. So there's a stabilization component of the existing, and then there's expansion. You're gonna look at both, right? It's just not the current. You're gonna look at needs across everything. Is that right? It's gonna be all encompassing. Did I say that right? You understand what I'm trying to accomplish?
You said it perfectly. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So we're going to assess the current service. We're going to look at demand, and we're going to identify unmet demand, meaning where folks want transit service that is not currently operated, and we're going to pair that with modes that are appropriate for density of population and employment, meaning there's an interest, but what can you do to sustain that interest? Is there enough people or jobs to have what type of transit service to support that? So we'll pair the needs with what we see from a data perspective, with what we're hearing from the public and the stakeholders that they want, and we'll develop a model that best utilizes your resource that gets the most return on that investment. So it may not look the same in certain areas, but what we need to remember when we're developing these recommendations and digesting what you tell us is that this isn't a one-size-fits-all for the entire community. We need a toolkit with lots of different tools in the toolkit, and then we can pair those appropriately to make sure folks are getting where they need to go.
Got it. And one more thing that sparked it again, current system, we're recognizing that you guys know this. We set out this whole journey thinking regional, right? We connect over to Cobb, Douglas, as you know, we connect over to our partner county, and there is some intent expressed within the board currently to go not just down the Riverside over to H.E. Holmes, but also over down into Maxim Road, which is sort of continuous service at the lines. Will that also be factored in, or that's outside the scope of it? Because there is a regionalism to this for continuity of service.
It's absolutely within the scope. So we have a starting project boundary that does include the adjacent counties to a certain extent. So urban funds can be used in urbanized areas, rural funds in rural areas. So we'll keep that in mind as we're delineating where we'll evaluate potential services. But if we've got folks, when we're doing public and stakeholder outreach, that say we want to connect to adjacent counties, it's easy enough to extend our data out and analyze whether or not those are feasible locations and connections. When we're collecting data on providers that are in the region currently and whether or not connections to that are feasible, that absolutely is within the scope. That's what makes a healthy transportation network, to make those connections where they're feasible.
Yeah, I just want to see the comprehensive. You got it. All right, keep going. Let's keep on track. Thank you for that. Well done. You see, I'm impassioned about this. I'm engaged, so I'm good.
I'm very excited that you're engaged. We love engaged folks to give us feedback, and I think that's really the takeaway from my presentation today, is that We hope that you'll be engaged. We hope that you'll share your ideas with us. There are no bad ideas. So we want to make sure that we're listening in the early stages while we're doing data collection, and that we're doing our due diligence, because you know your system and you know your community best. So we want to make sure that we're listening to you all. So thank you for the time and the opportunity. Steve, Ron, if there's anything I missed, y'all feel free to fill in.
I think so. I think you covered it well, Rachel. Thank you.
Yes, I do too. This is the, you know, it's you guys are very known, and the sub consultants and the team that we have are a group of really well-known rock stars. So we're very excited. So it should be a very productive study for everyone.
Was that the presentation?
That's the first part.
Okay.
The other little rock star sitting on our meeting here is Daniel Cherry Hoover.
Hold on, before we shift gears though, hold on, Dr. Roberts. Madam Chair, any committee members, because this is a big undertaking by the board, that when we commission this, we appreciate your work, Ron, to secure it. But I want to make sure that, because we are going into the kickoff, if there's any early comments as well. And Madam Chair, I'll leave with you, of course, out of respect.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you so much, Chairman of the committee, for yielding the floor to me. And thank you so much, Rachel, for your great presentation. Thank you, Steve, for being here as well. And also Ron Roberts for leading this effort. Certainly, Rachel, I feel that this is an excellent tool for performance tracking and reporting. Also, if you could just, and you may have, and I just may have missed it, the process improvement element. Can you talk about recommendations? Does this system provide recommendations as to what we can do when we identify there are problems related to customer service, also on time, all those things that you mentioned?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So there's typically when you do a study like this, you will have recommendations that are broken down into different categories, including operational enhancements that can recommend changes to service schedule, that can recommend mode changes. But there's also an operational element there, or we'll say internally. Your processes and the way that you're conducting the business side of the house could be more efficient, could be more effective if you did X, Y, and Z. So that's absolutely part of the process, and in my opinion, one of the most important ones, because if we're all chasing our tails, then we can't get out ahead of those issues. So making sure that where Ron and his team see opportunity or are having issues, if we've got a template that's working well throughout the country, we'll make sure he has that in his hands, and it'll be a recommendation that he continue to evaluate and improve on that. If there are areas where y'all are looking to the future but you don't have that framework currently, if we've got a structure for that and it seems to fit, then we'll provide that as a recommendation as well. So there's a long laundry list of things that we do in the operational recommendations that we think are really as important, if not more important, than those service recommendations.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
I yield the floor back to you, Chairman of the committee.
Yes, Madam Chair. Any other members? All right. Well, thank you guys again for being here and stuff. And we're looking forward to being engaged with you going forward. So, Director Roberts, you have another guest. Keep it going.
Yes, sir. Daniel Cherry Hoover is on here from the collaborative to provide an update on what our activities have been for that past month. Daniel.
Thanks so much, Ron. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time. I will be brief, and I am happy to mimic some of what Rachel was talking about. Beth-Lake plans have the opportunity for change. So what I'm about to say, and as far as the 2023 approach, bear in mind does take implications on the upcoming and forthcoming transit study. So what I want to do is first share my screen, so please let me know when you see it.
Yes, it's coming on, Daniel. It's got it.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to briefly go over 2022 summary and highlights. So again, to mimic some of the things of what has been done well. and where are some opportunities to stay the course. 2021 versus 2022 is what you're seeing in front of you. And that's for the entire year, January to December. So there were 11 months of positive growth in over comp years. So of course, within marketing, we try to comp over the previous year, and that's exactly what you see. And the highlight to take away of last year, and I'm again speaking about the fixed route bus service, the 11 months of ridership growth, and there was an increase of over 10,000 riders versus 2021. So we all know transit took a hit and the world took a hit in 2020 in regards to COVID uptick, and I'm very happy to report that ridership has improved in Douglas County year to date, over 10,000 riders. One other data point we wanted to talk about too is just general metrics. So some information I'm giving you is what we have currently, and more information will come at the next transit committee meeting. So what we're including is digital and social, what you see in front of you. So including an uptick in ridership, there was also an uptick on our digital and social platforms. So there's a Google business page. So just like any other search engine, a lot of people go to Google on their Android or even desktop or mobile device. So Connect Douglas has a Google business page. You see the current user rating, and that's out of 5. So if you go to the reviews, if you even left a review on a Google page, that's what you see. So on the right-hand side is an example or a screenshot of our current Google business page. It'll have updates there, rider alerts, etc. So the current, the total views, where you see the 79,849, that's the total number of views. That has definitely increased. That's the number of times people just go visit or go to the Google page. One number I do want to hone in on is the third from the top there, the 28,098. Those are direct searches. I think that is worth highlighting because people are searching Connect Douglas by name or by address. So there's a level of awareness for those who are looking and seeking Connect Douglas. Some other opportunities or data points here, website visits. So on an update or an alert, at times in the description, there may be a website link. So that 2,169 are people going directly to connectdouglas.com. We even have phone calls. So I'm a foodie, you go to a restaurant, you click on, you can call and make a reservation. Same thing, that's 770-949-7665. If someone utilizes the mobile device or has the opportunity on their desktop to click and then dial directly, that goes right to the Connect Douglas call center, and then they can alert, the user can go through the prompt. So about 2,000 phone calls were direct from the Google business page, and then directions, that's to the MMTC, the final number there. Other digital social metrics. Connect Douglas can be found on Instagram and Facebook. So the total followers on Instagram are 372, and Facebook 807. The followers on Facebook pair in line with the demographic, and I'll get to that in a moment. Another number would be of note are the total number of impressions. That is a fairly significant number, and that's the total number of multiple views. So unique visitors, that total reach is you go once and that's counted as one unique visit. So if I were to go to the Facebook page once and then go back again, that is the number of total impressions, those multiple views. So our target audience, we want to stay the course. What worked well in that 10,000 plus increase of riders were the 18 to 41, or the basically the late Zoomers crossover to millennials age group. That was part of our 2022 marketing strategy and the target audience. And on Facebook, just to go back to that point, that audience is like mid 30s and up. So it makes sense that we have more Facebook numbers because it hits the sweet spot of the target audience. The secondary audience are seniors, 55 and older. And in talking to and reaching out and continuing to reach out to those target audiences, we want to strengthen our partner strengthen the relationships with our partner organizations. I want to specifically thank the Senior Services and Dr. Gilchrist. They were amazing in our partnerships over 2022 and hosting several chat and choose and travel training sessions, and in particular with the Golden Years Club. So we worked with those partner agencies that you see listed and want to strengthen the other areas such as cobbling and with the ATL. And tap into that business area district, or excuse me, business districts, even more so in 2023 with Elevate Douglas, the CVB and Tourism Board, the City of Douglasville, and of course, Chamber of Commerce. Before we go into some quick pillars, you may have seen or heard me mention our Go Local campaign. So with those partner organizations, we want to go ahead and continue messaging and putting out our Go Local campaign in 2023. Those are the campaign itself is targeted to our area businesses located on all of the fixed routes, 10, 20, 30, and 40. For example, downtown Douglasville. You may have seen on social media several of the testimonials with a lot of the business owners and small business owners that is part of the Go Local campaign. Going into 2023, here are some objectives. Basically, we want to build on a strong base of the increase, that 10,000 ridership increase. We want to retain those riders and add to that number. Enhance the transit service awareness. We've done a pretty good job of our 2022 marketing strategy efforts, and we want to continue that and engage even more mid to large size companies in 23. We've done so with the smaller companies, especially like along downtown corridor. So we want to engage those mid to large size companies, especially on Route 30. And then again, strengthening those partner relationships. Based upon our 3 pillars, branding, digital integration, and of course, community engagement, here are some tactics we want to tap into in addition of staying the course. Refreshing those communication assets, adding pocket schedules. I've talked a lot about digital, but when we go to the senior centers or even out within other community areas and BIPOC communities or low to moderate income, not everybody has a cell phone. Not everybody has a mobile device. We do have the pocket schedules, but for those especially catching the bus, we want those something easily accessible. Throw it in their pocket, purse, bag, etc. Updating the collateral, in addition to refreshing our Spanish translation collateral. So that way we can tap into a population of 14,000 and utilizing that translation when we go back to do the travel trainings this year with the ESL group for English as a second language. Of course, key messaging, making sure the public knows that this is a very safe and efficient method, a mode of transportation that is available to every citizen, every resident, every visitor in Douglas County. The testimonials, that went very well. We executed 11 testimonials between staff, riders, residents, citizens, and business owners this previous year, and we want to continue to do that. And then, of course, print ads, direct mail, even exploring water bill insert to direct print as another opportunity of communication to all citizens. And then, of course, strengthening that brand ambassadorship with not only the Douglas County Youth Ambassadors Program, but also the seniors. Several of the seniors within the Golden Years Club, such as like Mr. Frank Payne and Miss Medina, have been amazing resources. You see here some of the tactics in digital integration. Tapping into Patheo Go, that's the current software within that third-party operator that was mentioned, transitions. So people can track their bus. We can also gain additional data internally, so we can further strategize opportunities. And then Google Map integration. So in the event that the routes are enhanced, we can enhance what we call those GTFS maps in Google, and that will even add to the level of visibility digitally as well. And then, of course, you see other digital social media and other internal things such as the signature on the email lines. Those are all areas, no stone unturned, opportunities to help promote Connect Douglas. And of course, to mimic again what Rachel was talking about of the digital surveys. We previously had QR codes, web, and then in-person and print in-person and print surveys. We want to continue that as well, and collaboration with the upcoming study. Last is community engagement. Travel training sessions went well. Let's stay the course there. Exploring other cross promotions, and that's within the Go Local campaigns. And then enhance the loyalty program, and that helps retain the existing riders. What went really well was the promotions. Now, mind you, there was 11 months of growth within 2022. And that also bears in mind the free ride promotion from this past year. It was July the 15th through September 3rd, but there was still continued growth after September 3rd until the end of December. So it was an opportunity for people to get reintroduced to the bus service. And then actually have a dedicated community there, a dedicated hosted event at the Multimodal Transportation Center. That was something Director Roberts and I, we were talking about when we weren't able to do this year during the 3rd anniversary, but that is a wonderful opportunity, and it's a great space over there at Doris Road to have a community day. And this is just a quick overview of a roadmap of some of the tactics just mentioned. So with that, I yield for any questions.
Thank you for that. Again, always very good in your articulation of where we are. Now I'm going to use, as chair of the committee, I'm going to frame this why both these groups are here. Because this is important. It's one thing to study, it's another to execute. They both have to coexist. And we've had a 3-year pilot program, which the Board of Commissioners set out to do. And now it's a good time to sort of have, so like for our students, they get their grades. And we got grades in. But our grades on that FTA, how well did we handle a federal program? Second, how well did we actually design this program initially? That's what our team, Rachel, and we're going to help assess. And likewise, how well are we doing today? Right? Because at the end of the day, studying and finding is all great, but if you're not making the impact of the needs of the citizens, the actual taxpayers, then this is great consulting work, great PowerPoints, but if we're not making a difference, if we're not increasing ridership, if we're not making a difference that the people that, we've got the system, but if it's not connecting to the people that need it, then there's an issue there. So I've asked that both these, at least through this year, have a standing place here to give us an update. Maybe not as long as this right here, but just some highlights to keep us on track, because both of these cannot be separate consulting assignments. They have to be integrated. They have to see each other. Yes, we don't want the people who are doing the study to get distracted per se, but yet likewise, vice versa, but they still need to be aware. It's a broader program management, right? It's broader to be aligned. I'm big on alignment. Like, okay, does left hand know what the right hand doing? Even if you can glean some understanding, it's always good in just doing what you do. So that's going to be, we're looking for a mature year. It's about maturity. And so I'm really looking forward to that. The second part is data is key. You heard Rachel emphasize data. Let's get these data points. And you just heard Daniel talk about data. You know, Madam Chair has pushed the first time she came in, she talked about this dashboard. Oh my, KPIs. This is, I mean, every department is going to have to go through this, including this one. So the citizens can really know, what are we doing? How are we measuring ourselves? It's great to have great stories and PowerPoints, but the data don't lie, right? So it's about maturing in our area of like, okay, guys, we got to show the public. You know, we talk about customer satisfaction, associate satisfaction internally, not even the operations as well out in the community. But what are the metrics that we're measuring ourselves by over time? How well are we doing? Me and Madam Chair just came from the chamber and they talked about our local economy and how well Douglas is killing it. They talked about our transportation and our logistics area and stuff and the jobs that are being created. I mean, just top of the food chain in the Western region. Just, Madam Chair, I'm sure she's still beaming like, okay, look at this. Right? But again, what they said is that people at the lower end, the bottom quartile, are all rising, outperforming everybody else. Douglas County is equal, pretty much in parity with black and white as it relates to pay here, income. They said it. Douglas County is moving in the right direction, but we've got a long way to go. There's the have and have-nots. And so there's people who really need mobility. Our seniors need to get to their medical. They need to get where they go. It's not just about joyrides. Our youth, my sons and stuff, you know, the Zoomers, I got a 25 and 23-year-old, they don't have a problem with transit. They don't have any issues, societal issues, political issues with, I'm trying to get where I got to get to. And so part of this is also continuing to educate the public and shift this mindset. Right? We've got to move forward. People got to get in motion, right? And again, mobility is important. It may not be as much of an issue like up in the north where you had to get alternative transportation options. So there's still important to continue to educate, but also get to the people and make sure they know how to use the system. Everybody didn't grow up in New York, in Cleveland. Everybody didn't grow up in the inner city of Atlanta, right? Where you were subject to this. So there's an expansion of these options. There is an economic component to this, but there's also a quality of life. And I think as we keep our minds on what the ultimate prize is, it's about our citizens. They have to know how to get access to this thing, how to participate, where am I going? And so all this is very, very important. It's not just checking the box. It's great to be the first system to come online, what was it, I'm sure, in 15 years. But can we maintain this? Can we maintain it? It's like they say, we can get you in the house, but can you keep the house? It's great we turn this on, but like, how well are we doing with our buses, dude? Are the signs out there? Are the bus stops there? Like, it's about the citizens. And as much I appreciate all this, unless we make this a connection with our citizens, we'll fall a little bit short. But I had to give that about what we're serious about this. Like, all right, guys, get this right. This is part of our infrastructure. Planes, trains, automobiles, buses, they're part of society. And so we just need to make sure we're doing this the right way. I think we got the right leadership with Director Roberts. So I want to thank you, Rob. I know you inherited this. We get it. Take us forward. We thank you for the consultants that are here. Madam Chair, I appreciate you and your leadership on this. But Danielle, thank you. We got to keep moving. So is there any comments on this before we shift gears and give this back to Deputy Director Ron? Madam Chair, you want to weigh in, please?
No comments. I think you covered it all. This is a very good moment for our transportation system, an opportunity for us to go forward and do great things. I'm optimistic. I'll just close by saying that. I'm very optimistic.
Absolutely. Commissioner Robinson, if you don't mind.
Yes, Deputy DCA, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's coming from a city that honed in on public transportation. As Commissioner Robinson mentioned, being from up north, we had a very expansive bus system, and it's just very interesting to see how Connect Douglas is evolving. No questions, just a comment that, you know, I will definitely be engaged to see how this evolves over time. And I'm excited for the citizens of Douglas County that, we are putting a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of science behind this Connect Douglas so that we can present to the public a very well thought out transportation plan that's going to move folks through Douglas County in an efficient way. So I look forward to that. Just coming from a city again that thrived on public transportation, this has caught my eye, and I'm just thrilled to see it evolving like it is. So thank you.
No, I appreciate that. And Madam AC, I want you to just weigh in because I know you're responsible for a lot of roles right now, including this system via Director Roberts, but also the legislative part. And we heard that, Danielle and folks are right now, they're branding Connect Douglas. But we also know, like our colleagues that are here from up high, that there's the bigger ATL and the branding associated with that. And so the need to be in tune to what's going on, guys, when things come mandated from on high. Can you speak to just overall what you're hearing initially, Madam ACA? You see conversation we had earlier. Can you talk about that just briefly?
Sure, thank you, Chair of the Committee, Robinson. So yes, we did have a conversation earlier regarding branding and then the overall transit plan. I just want to give kudos to RSH. I did read the project management plan, and so it's very detailed. You're going to get a lot of great information from it, as well as Danielle Cherry Hoover, who I'm in constant communication with, who always provides great information to Director Roberts as well as myself, and we can always count on her to make sure that we're informed on what's going on with Douglas County and our transit and our public engagement and participation. I remember back when the bill was introduced and the transit bill was passed. Well, one of the goals I think that I read into it was to initially have an overall regional transit system. And of course, we're not there. We're nowhere near that. But such things such as making sure that at this point, all of the transit systems in the area have some sort of ATL branding and things on it. So those are things that we are making sure that we're going to be in compliance with. And of course, anything that comes down from the ATL or the Transit Authority in the future, we'll make sure to be in compliance with those things, even if it's overall branding everything with the ATL. I think that's where we're eventually going, but of course we haven't gotten any direction from that for now. But right now, I think we're in a good place to move everything forward, and we really just need to do a deep dive into what we're doing transit. I think we've had a great run these past 3 years. We started off in 2019, and then we were hit with the pandemic. And, we kept going. And I think our transit, you can see from the increase in our ridership that our transit system it's moving. And it's moving in the right direction. It's just making sure to do the research and make sure that we have, we're servicing the needs of the community as far as transit goes. And I think that I see us moving in that direction. And we're working hard together as a team on the transit side to get that done.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Ron, Director Roberts, close this segment out by thanking your colleagues for being here, and we're going to keep this moving. I'll give you the last word.
Oh, thank you so much, Commissioner. Yes, Rachel, Steve, we'll be in touch. Good to see you again, Danielle. Thank you for the report. That was fantastic. Just really look forward to getting started. And I'm going through getting the deliverables, some of the things that we've already talked about in place already. So we're on it.
Chairman of the committee, if I could just
yes, ma'am, Chair. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I just thought about something yesterday. I had a citizen approach me and asked the question, what has been the most difficult challenge I've had since I've been in office the last 7 years? And my response to them was, giving birth to a transit system. That was a tough delivery. For every yes, there was a no. And so it takes a village to raise a child. So I'm appreciative of all the stakeholders here to help push this process through. And I know that this child will be successful. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I yield back to you.
All right. Excellent update, everybody. All right. Deputy Director Rhonda, get us next to the next group.
All right. Moving on to Public Works updates. We did not have any listed agenda items, but I'll check with Director Heath to see if he has anything to talk about.
Yes, thank you. All right. Vice Chair, Commissioner, and Madam Chair, other fellow directors out there, welcome. It's good afternoon here. I'm trying to catch up with my notes. I'm just trying to give you exactly, just an update. Of course, the weather has been really, raining throughout the last couple of days, so it's been, or the last couple of weeks, so it's been a bad time to get anything done paving wise. We are still currently sitting at 77% on the paving, the splost for 2022. We're currently in the fall subdivision.
Splosh 22 or 20? Oh, you're talking about just splosh year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it.
The bid docs are still rolling in for the 2023, getting edited and getting some final costs put into that as they go up. We currently have 7 vacancies. We did pull one from the landfill. So we internally swapped one guy that came on from the landfill and then decided he was meant to be on the side of the road. So we helped him get there and he's happy. We still need a lot of people though. We are just exhausting every opportunity we can. Bids for gravel, concrete, asphalt have all been in. We had one for each. So I have those names for, and this is countywide, asphalt materials, CW Matthews, gravel materials, will go to Vulcan, and the concrete is Wayne Davis Concrete. And on these rainy days like this, our crews are out there, they're patching potholes, they're looking at shoulders of the road, they're fixing sidewalks, they've also been cutting up trees, with the storms and that kind of thing, but that's what they're doing, keeping busy when they're not able to pave or do some good, any good construction work on the side of the road or cut grass. So we have started picking up litter, to try and offset from the holidays. We've had more, more people in and out on the roads, more people with time off, more litter on the side of the road. So we've been addressing that internally and continue to do so. So if any questions, that's all I have for transportation for this group.
You did very well. Thank you, Director Carr. I just have one comment that you triggered. You mentioned workers. Again, making reference back to Madam Chair, we're at this chamber meeting today, this conference. They're talking about the state of our region and stuff. From an economic perspective, and Douglas County has an unemployment rate, I think, of 3%, which is higher than our 6 peer counties to the west. The Carroll Cities, the Cowetas, the Pauldings, etc., Polk. But the point is, it's still historically great. And so the question is that this ain't going to go away. They made it very clear. This is long term. You got these boomers that are retiring now. And so, and then you got the young ones who are just the Zoomers or ex-Zoomers or whatever y'all are calling them now, right? So we're in a predicament that you need to be thoughtful about, like, but how will we do this, right? We got open positions. We can't fill them. Right? Can't fill them. There's musical chairs. Now we have, in Douglas County, they talked about it, we had the largest growth in quality of life. Again, minimum wage all over the place. Everybody's rose, that bottom quartile. Got it. Got $15 minimum. Got it. It made a difference. It's in the data. The numbers don't lie. But here you are, can't get work done.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so, how do we go about doing it? Do we partner it? Do we grow out of high school? Do we continue workforce development? All those efforts. I'm just highlighting the point that says, I hear you. As much as you want to get to something like I get it, but I don't have workers. I'm gonna burn them out if I'm not careful. People are like, okay, I get it. You're stressing people. There's enough, overtime, double time. Like, I get it. And I know it's seasonality because it's cold. You're good on that. I mean, the public understands there's not much can be done right now, and you'll pick that up accordingly. But it's something as leadership for all of you guys, just to be thoughtful about, like, yeah, I get it. It's just a sign of the times, and they're setting our expectations. Don't be delusional. Like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's become more competitive. And it's a tight market. They're very clear today. And two of them up there, top end. One from Metro Atlanta Chamber and one from obviously Miss Joey Smith from over at the University of West Georgia. They nailed it. And so they made it very clear on where we are. So we're in a good place, but just know that you got to be, just be mindful of how you manage your work accordingly. One question I did have for you, though, when you talked about your resurfacing, you are pleased, though, with the efforts that's being done. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
No, you're 76%. You're fine with them, right?
Yes, sir. We've got people out there monitoring, watching. We're making site visits, but we have somebody there watching. Our senior technician out there for the paving and any patching. There's nothing going unnoticed. It's been great. This company versus the last company we dealt with.
Got it. Yeah, I just wanted you to say it. That was free of charge. You got to put it on record. Thank you for that. But the last thing then is dealing with performance. I'm going to go back to Madam Chair's objectives about key performance indicators. Do we have data that tells us, well, how many calls? Do we have a case management system that you manage the operations? I mean, they call into a number. How many? Because again, I'm over here on the legislative side. I want to know, how do y'all really manage this? Like, how many potholes do y'all manage that you feel a week? I look on TV and I see like they have a little pothole patrol and they talk about it. Do we have any of that type of data? And it may exist, but one more time, we got to make it more visible.
Right.
And so, complaints and things like that. I mean, give us a little bit about that. What do you use and what data is available? And is that part of this overall KPI? I mean, I'm just curious because again, that's important. That's what people experience their tax dollars. They will call on a pothole. You mess up them rims, and they call it. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. Okay. Yes, sir. So we have that information, and we're especially with the KPIs that we've been pushing to kind of revamp the system, make the data more open to everyone and visible. I can just say I've got like a screen right here. You can see this is very. There you go. Got some magic paper here. This is wild. I'm not doing magic tricks here, but so let me just go over with it. Every time I lift it up, we have things from 2002, 3, 4, so we can get an average of the last 3 years actual projected and what we think is going to happen here. We've got gravel dirt road maintenance. We're looking at paving in-house and contractors. So we're dealing with total tons there. So 2001 was 19,500 tons. 2002, 331,000 tons, and projected for 23 is 20,000 tons of asphalt. So we're going to have all of these, and we have several others. Placing millings on the gravel road, litter picked up and contracted versus in home or in-house. All of those are going to have their own number percentage that we can show that to as we go throughout the year. So that's our performance indicators, some of the main ones that will show up as soon as this is fully operational. We have everything turned in and still going through the final stages of it with GIS. But yeah, we've got our data, we're ready, we've got it outlined, and we're ready to plug it in the machine and see how it starts tracking. And then if it doesn't work exactly like we want it, we'll adjust accordingly, and if y'all see something you would rather have versus what we have, we'll adjust accordingly.
No, I appreciate that. Again, one more time, just, great PSA about what you're working on. You know, when you talk about, again, key performance indicators, I mean, you can throw data all day long, but for example, how many people did the sheriff arrest? How many people did the judges sentence? How many potholes exist? Right? There's certain key things in all areas that we all university can understand across the board. So, you know, and so I know you guys will bring that forth. We need to highlight those things. How are we tracking? Is it going up? Is it coming down? How is it? Is it spiking? Is there something going on that we need to focus on? And again, it gives us an indicator to the health of whatever it's looking at. So here's the question for you, and then we'll yield the floor back to Deputy Director Rana. How many potholes do we currently have right now? How many did you do last year? And how many they come in on per month, annual volume? Again, that data point right there,
Yeah.
potholes.
I don't have the pothole count for you. I could find it shortly.
Do we have
This
this?
is over.
People call
But
in.
we have a number, so we do have a dedicated number for the transportation. We have one person that answers that phone, and she will take if you call in a pothole, that pothole gets logged in. It's on, so we have it recorded. The immediate response will go back to them, and also out to our guys in the field. They will then, you know, look at their schedule and fill in, plug in the pothole with whichever crew, you know, can get over there at the closest time. So yes, we have it all. I can't pull the numbers right this second, but we have it.
No, and that was good enough. Now I'm making a point.
Yes, sir.
You have people who call in and they're reporting potholes. They could be repeat or the same. And then you got staff that's out there that may come across that some citizen hasn't had. So there's a total universe of potholes. And it's all relative. You're not going to see everything, but it's just, again, you're not going, it's like you don't catch everybody who does a crime. You're not going to see everything. But the point is, what you do see, how are we tracking that over time? And it gives us indication about the degradation of our roads. Are we getting complaints within subdivisions versus main streets? So again, you guys are going to work that out. This is just one more time, the need for data. So that we are making wise decisions, or at least out of a committee, making wise recommendations up to the full board, and ultimately the board will take action accordingly. Thank you for that. Madam Chair, any comments on this, ma'am?
No, I did want to just add, thank you so much, Chairman of the committee. The potholes, I believe we have a pothole hotline, don't we?
Yes, ma'am. But so anything, potholes, you know, tree down, any kind of maintenance issue or security issue, you call and we will get that data to the guys in the field. It'll be logged down and we'll be responding. And most of that is the same day type deal. Unless we are, you know, most certainly it is right now when guys are not fully engaged somewhere else. So yeah, that's what they've been doing all day, as a matter of fact, you know, filling holes and doing shoulders, that kind of thing, picking up trash as they go.
And if my memory serves me correctly, I know that was that pothole hotline was implemented. I came to office, and there's a area within the Celebrate Douglas where the citizens can also click on the link in where the pothole is and all that. That still is in play. That still work.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly where. Okay, so we do have something in place to answer your question, Chairman of the committee. I know our director answered yes as well, but I was just saying it's something it was implemented when I came to office. But we need to just tighten it up and then just be able to roll out the information. It would be nice when we submit our annual report every year, the state of the county and things that I'm providing to the citizens. If we could have like you said, as Commissioner Robinson said, just a seamless process where you can have everything one single view. So we can just pull it up rather than everybody scrambling. We can just download the information and it's there for me. So all I have is a major report that contains the data from everybody's division. That'll allow me to compile my state of the county information very quickly without calling everyone. So that's something we'll look at. Deputy County Administrator, that's something to consider. Okay, I yield back to you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Go ahead, Deputy.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner.
Okay. No, I mean, Madam Chair, good point. I mean, there's decision support systems is what your staff needs to execute their respective offices day to day. And we need executive support system. In other words, give me an aggregate single view. So, I mean, it's about maturity. We're getting there. We're evolving. But to that point, Madam Chair, right, I shouldn't have to scramble. You shouldn't have to scramble. Like, okay, right, y'all are busy. But y'all got to sit there and always compile those reports and getting staff to create spreadsheets and stuff. And it's always evolving. It's not consistent month to month. But we're getting there. And I think you would begin to appreciate that. We got to put the work in on the front side. You got to put the work in, get it built. And I think over time, and I'm sure we'll get there. As you said, process improvement to your words earlier. So we're going to get there. Thank you for that. And thank you. I think there was a citizen comment that was made. And so, David Good, are you out there? David, did somebody have a comment?
Yes, Commissioner.
David, can you weigh in on that citizen comment? You know, we're real time. We flow with it in our committees. What was the comment?
I'm sure. One of the citizens, they were listening into one of the Board of Commissioners meetings that came about funding towards the Chapel Hill at I-20. I guess that was a former DDI. And they were questioning or asking, will there be a dedicated lane for bike and pedestrian separate from the lanes that will be there for the diamond interchange? And they're just wondering because they're concerned about safety.
Got it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So with that, Deputy Director Rana, obviously that's going to fall in your sweet spot, and so I think it's time for you and your update to the committee. So you can address that then or during your comments, but it's on you. Back to you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes. So on that, I'll have to look back on that. We did receive funds on that, and we're actually putting stuff together to move this project along. I will have to look back at the approved concept from about a year or 2 years ago and see what the pedestrian accommodations are. But I do anticipate sidewalks, or at least, if not bike, but at least pedestrian accommodations along that project.
Got it. Well done. Thank you. And we'll double back for the citizen that submitted that. Duly noted. We will get you a formal answer. Deputy Director Ron, keep going.
Yes, sir. So the next item on the agenda is Lee Road project updates. Between our last transportation committee meeting and this meeting, we had two major events regarding this project. So I decided to bring this up at this committee meeting. The first was the groundbreaking that we held for phase 2, which was just a day after our last committee meeting. That was a wonderful event where we had great participation, and all of our committee leaders and county leaders were there, so we appreciate that. And then more recently, we were made aware of a funding grant for Lee Road Extension project, where we were awarded $5 million for Lee Road Extension. With this support, we now currently have all 3 phases of Lee Road in work. Phase 1 currently under concept development, phase 2 currently under construction, and with this recently awarded federal funds, we will now be able to push Lee Road Extension into PE, which is preliminary engineering. And then with these grants, we will have project framework agreements put in place with GDOT that we will be presenting for board approval.
Excellent. Again, we'll just keep that going. That is for the public, the Board of Commissioners unanimously had passed that was one of the top 3 priorities in the county, and it was part of our legislative agenda over at the state and the federal level. So we'll continue to leverage our capital stack, try to offset, obviously our SPOS or any type of local funding, except for matches, so that we need help as much funding as we can, because again, transportation has a big appetite. Madam Chair, I don't have to go on with that. Obviously that's continued good news, but you want to say anything about Lee Road, Madam Chair? How important that is for our east-west and opening up our southern arm?
Chairman of the committee, one of the few words is it will be a game changer for this entire county and this region.
Yeah, absolutely. Our east-west connector, and again, we get it. The master plan community is being built right there at obviously Lee Road and Fairburn Road. So this is a good news. We'll just keep it going. Thanks for the update. Keep that type of news going. We won't belabor that. Keep going with your agenda. Go ahead, Deputy Director.
All right. I'll go ahead and share my screen for the next agenda item. Can you see my screen now? Or I think it should be up now. Okay, great. So this agenda item is about intersection improvements at John West and Baggett Road at Veteran Memorial Parkway. This is one of the last few projects from 2016 SPLOST list. We have a proposal from Michael Baker International for a full concept analysis for a cost of $73,206. In this, they'll be analyzing the unique intersection that we have at Baggett Road and Veteran Memorials, and they will be suggesting the optimal design approach to resolve safety issues at this intersection. And that's why we present this for your approval, and then eventually we'll be presenting this contract for board approval to move forward on this project.
So is this more just FYI right now, or is there a need to take formal action at this point?
Yes, sir. We would need the motion to present this for board approval at the upcoming or at one of the upcoming BOC meetings.
Gotcha. I heard the $73,000 Michael Baker. What was the process in which we selected Michael Baker? Who was this a formal RFP that went out that was facilitated? It was a short list and they were selected. Is that what it was?
So, yes, sir. So these few SPLOST intersection design projects have been dealt with through a general on-call RFP that was put out in 2019. Through that, we have these on-call consultants that we go down the list one by one and award these design projects, and that is the same thing we've done on this project.
Very good. All right, sounds good. I'm pretty clear on this. Again, this is a continuation, as he stated. Deputy Director Ron said this is the last of the last few projects as far as the transportation 2016 SPLOST, duly noted. No need to belabor it. We do have the budget for this, is that true?
Yes, sir. We were allotted $200,000 for this project, but just because of the unique intersection that we're dealing with, we're just starting off with the concept phase first, and then we'll be initiating a full design phase afterwards.
So 200,000 minus 73 is what, 123, something like that. And so that remaining amount of money, will it help do the next phase?
Depending on the design, we are not totally sure about that. I do hope that it will at least do a major part of the design, if not all of it. And then eventually we have requested some fundings for this project under 2022 SPLOST, which will be supporting the construction of this project. So depending on what the concept phase suggests, we would be at a better place to make that decision.
Okay, no problem. Can I get a motion for this recommendation to the full Board of Commissioners to award the contract to Michael Baker in the amount of $73,000, specifically as was stated?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so who is the motion? So for the record, guys, if we named.
I made a motion to approve the.
All right, so Director Roberts made the motion. Who made the second?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Got it. We got a motion second. Any discussion? No discussion, guys. We'll go around the room. Got to say your name just for the record for the meeting minutes. Because sometimes it's hard to discern us. Kelly Robinson votes yes.
Ramona Jackson Jones votes yes.
Solomon Rana, yes.
Frederick Perry, yes.
Tiffany Stewart Stanley, yes.
Ron Roberts, yes.
Keith Cowart, yes.
All right, that was a unanimous vote, and it passed. So send it on to the Board of Commissioners at the next available meeting. Keep that project going, stay on task. We want to get ahead and knock out this 2016 so we can make room for the next round. All right, keep going. Next agenda item, please.
Yes, sir. So next agenda item is just an update on the lighting efforts that are undertaken through 2016 SPLOST list also. We were down to last 8 street lighting intersections for that SPLOST list. And this is one of the last few of the remaining intersections. This is presented for board approval. This has been presented at the work session yesterday, will be voted upon tonight. And with this, I think we're a little over 70% complete on our lighting efforts from 2016 SPLOST. And this again is just an update on the lighting efforts for this committee.
Got it. Thank you for that. Madam Chair, you know this is yours. Please, any comments on this, Madam Chair, for the status?
No comments, but just excited to see that the lighting project has moved forward and looking hopefully in 2022 SPLOST that we will have a continuation of the effort, because we do have a couple of areas that have been identified, but we'll talk about that. That's certainly coming forward. But I'm excited that we were able to finish what we started with this lighting system here in Douglas. Particularly, I believe the last run, and correct me if I'm wrong, Suleiman, is that 166 area. Is that the quarter?
Yes, 166, and we still have a few more on Highway 5 as well. As so the other end of Tyree Road also. So, but mainly at 166.
Okay, thank you. That's the last, but one of the most important ones because it's extremely dark in that area. Thank you. I yield back to you, Kim.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Deputy Director, keep us going.
That was the last item on today's agenda, and we're now open for any other items that you'd like to bring up.
Absolutely. So just for this committee, we're going to keep it right here. You've heard me say on the floor as a commissioner to my fellow Board of Commissioners the need to reconcile the respective categories, but to your point, the 2022 SPLOST. A timeline was set forth yesterday, relatively speaking, by our what we're calling him, Dr. Corbin, who's in our administrator seat, who's obviously going to be the point on this to synchronize. In other words, finalizing the list.
Mm-hmm.
I want to focus strictly on transportation, and we're smoothing out this list now for us. And I want to be first out the gate, guys. Let's finish our list. We're all on the same page on what needs to get done. And so, where do you think we stand right now as far as finalizing the list, Deputy Director? And if David Good needs to get in here to help have this conversation, but we want to be done by our next meeting. We want to have. We're making a recommendation of our list to the full Board of Commissioners. In other words, we don't have to keep going back and forth. We're pretty clear. Any comments?
Yes.
Please.
Yes, Commissioner. Upon your direction, David and I have worked on the transportation list, and we have made some adjustments to the initial list that we started off on with. And now the final list that we have come up with was forwarded to Finance and potentially to your office too from David Good. David can confirm that. But that is a list that we have achieved consensus on amongst us, and it's now up for board approval.
All right, so with that being said, this committee needs to make a recommendation for that because of our rules that we had regarding this, and it's okay. But we need to, this committee must vote in a recommendation to the full board. So we have time. So what I like to do is, I don't know how we're going to do this because the timing of this, he said 30 days out. David Good, what's our timeline? We got time to bring this back to a committee? So that we can make a formal recommendation to the board that we did agree that this is the list, so it doesn't move on us as we know things happen.
We could definitely do that, or at some point in time, calling a special call meeting just to put that out there. But as Suleiman said, we do have that list already. We'll send to Finance just to make sure we was in line with the capital improvement plan as well as the capital transportation plan. So it's up to the board to decide if you guys want to. We're up to the committee to decide who to send it on. But we do have time. But since everything is of the essence, we need to pop off. I believe that we should get it done as soon as possible.
All right. So thank you for that, Mr. Good. Madam Chair, we do need to finalize this list to just show leadership. These guys have already knocked our list out. I think we can. I acknowledge his recommendation. We can call a very quick. A special call meeting. Obviously, it's virtual. Probably would take us 15 minutes for him to walk us through what the list is. It's not that we're unfamiliar. It's not a new list. And so we can make the recommendation to the full board to stay on track. Are you opposed to that, Madam Chair?
No, I'm not in opposition to that. I think that's a good suggestion. Recommendation list.
Yep. Again, some of the things resurfacing. I mean, we just need to lay out the framework. How do we approach this? And again, we appreciate you, Deputy Director Ronald. We know Miguel laid us a good framework on how to think about this, and David, you closed the loop. So, Madam Chair, we just need to do it for the record. But as you know, a recommendation has to come from our committee. Committee members, are y'all okay with when I call this special call? Y'all show up and probably within a week's time, so we can knock this out. Do you guys have any opposition to this? Y'all gonna be going on vacation or something?
No opposition. If it's virtual, we can jump from wherever.
That's right.
All right, thank you.
I'm good with it.
We'll take care of that. Madam Chair, so be it. We'll do it that way. I'll call it. We'll have my staff arrange it, guys, and we'll just go from there. Let's stay on task, and I appreciate y'all commitment and participation in that. All right, since that was the end of this, the formal agenda for this Transportation Committee of January 18th, 2023, before I yield to Madam Chair to get the final words, committee members, any comments?
I got one alibi, sir.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead, Director Cowell.
Hey, yeah. So our total pothole count on average is 134 potholes in a year is what's reported. So you could take that and break it down through the week, through the month. You're looking at around 3 a week. Right now, there is officially no potholes in the county. So the potholes that anybody sees or that knows about, and there's no patch in there, they need to call and let us know, and we'll be out there tomorrow to put them in. So, but that is exactly, that's where we're at today, sir. And it's not exactly like you want it, I understand, but we're gonna refine it, and it'll be something that we'll track, and you can track, and citizens can track. So
that was very meaningful, though. Thank
yes,
you.
Sir.
I mean, to that point, it's about 12 a month, right? You got a staff that's out there. We can at least do that. We cannot do resurfacing, but we can patch.
That's right.
We can get around to it. So that's important. Are we responsive? And you're doing the work, just nobody knows.
Right.
So I think, this is a good thing. It's not being critical. It's just like, no, tell people, show what you're doing, that you are performing in light of being down 7, that you are knocking out. In other words, well, I can't get to that, but I can get to this. So thank your staff for obviously being responsive. That's a good problem to have, that we're responsive, Madam Chair. So I appreciate that that commentary and stuff. So thank you for the follow-up and for the data.
Sure.
Anybody else? All right, Madam Chair, you always have the last word.
Thank you so much, Chairman of the committee. Certainly, this was a very productive meeting as always, and just wanted to underscore the economic outlook again is very bright for Douglas County, and future is bright, and certainly transportation is one of the metrics that are leading the way for our brightness. So just wanted to commend this transportation committee and also our community at large for just all the great things that are happening. Despite a pandemic, we still, they say cream always rises to the top, and we definitely have done that. So thank you again for your resilience. But again, our economic outlook in Douglas County is favorable according to the report today that was provided at the chamber. So thank you so much, Chairman of the committee.
Absolutely. But he said transportation logistics is driving this whole engine.
Yeah.
And that truck traffic, again, that's a wear and tear on our infrastructure. So we got to maintain it. We got to recognize, oh, y'all are booming. Y'all carry the whole West. I mean, it was just sort of like, woo, it's an engine. And just to hear them say that, like, no, that's important to the overall, economy of the state as well as our region and also for Douglas County. And so you guys being able to support that. Thank you for fixing that Riverside and Thornton Road, that giant pothole, that mattered though. That mattered. And so now I go down and I'm like, look at this thing rebuilt. I know that was just the first phase, but it was that important, right? So we appreciate guys' responsive. This is a great committee, and I really appreciate you guys' feedback and preparedness and stuff. So with that being said, we won't belabor it. Let's just keep it moving. And I'm sure we got to get to the floor a little bit later. So with that being said, this Transportation Committee of January 18th, which is the Wednesday of 2023 of the Douglas County